Hey guys, Alex and Dan from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time around was Voyage of the Damned. What was that one about?
Well, I thought the setup was going to be they were going to travel back to the early 1900s and the actual Titanic, but it turns out it was similar to when we watched Mummies on the Orient Express. It was an intergalactic ocean liner in space that was doing tourism of the Earth to see, primitive customs, etc., etc. Anyway, the owner of the ship was going bankrupt. Anyway, he had developed these robots that were supposed to be like the crew and serving people and doing anything they wanted, but then he intentionally sabotaged them so that they would destroy the ship, and he would become wealthy somehow in all of it. Anyway, one of the young actual, flight attendants, stewardesses, whatever they call them on a ship nowadays, tried to help the doctor try to figure out what's going on. The young man on the bridge, who was shot by the captain but ultimately managed to regain somewhat minor control of the ship. Literally everybody on the ship perishes except for like 4 people, and then the doctor heads off again as he always does.
Yeah, they couldn't go back to the actual Titanic for a Christmas special because that would be too depressing.
Like losing 800 people on this one wasn't depressing.
Yeah, losing characters that they endear you to, and then they just die. So, So today we are properly starting off season 4, what season would this be? Like season 30?
30, yeah.
30 technically of Doctor Who. So yeah, we're starting off the season proper. Today's episode is called Partners in Crime. I have to tell him this because it's not on the screen right now. Normally I have the menu up with all the episodes. However, this DVD has the first 5 episodes of this season. And the viewers know that episode 4 contains a spoiler right there in the title of the episode.
Well, gosh, I wonder who that could be.
It's an interesting twist. It's interesting, but look, just to make sure everything still works in this reaction, I've had to not show the menu. So I already loaded up the episode and I just paused it, and hopefully it'll work from there. The thing is, I think even in the episode, it'll go to the title sequence before they reveal what they're doing. So I'm going to have to censor that as well to make sure that, because it's a good reveal. It's not just like the last time with the what was it, Daleks in Manhattan.
Yeah. So
hopefully, it'll be fine. We'll work through that as we get to it. But for a few episodes, we're not going to be able to look. The thing was, I was going to record the episode earlier, and then we would watch that, and then I would do the thing, and I forgot at the last second. So
I'm intrigued.
Either way, we're watching the first episode, which doesn't have that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're just going to get into season 4 proper with this one. What is considered, not to make your expectations a little too overblown, but what is generally considered the best season of Doctor Who. So, which I tend to agree. I really don't think there's any season after this that kind of compares to this season. So, and all the seasons have good stuff, but they'll always have that one episode where it's like, okay, well, there's that episode. Okay, don't need that episode. But this season is, as they would say, all killer, no filler. I don't know how many people have said that before, and I don't know if people still say that now. I will say trying to keep up with new lingo is getting harder and harder. Even just simple stuff, not even just the Gen Alpha garbage that they're spewing, but there's some of the stuff that I'm seeing on Twitter where people are now starting to talk about aura like hype and aura moments, and I was like, oh, I guess this is a new thing we're talking about. And how do I explain it to my 70-year-old father in very concisely? An aura moment is just a character looking really, really cool in a moment. And like the Doctor will have that sometimes, maybe even the Master has that, but the Doctor has that a lot. Like, remember the Spiders episode with Donna, where he was like standing there as they were all like burning and drowning or whatever? I think that would be considered a hype aura moment by the youths on Twitter.
The Utes.
Yeah. So that's a new thing in like the past month or so that people have been talking about, and it's like, oh, I guess we're going to be saying this now. Okay. I'm still making jokes about Among Us, and that's like 5 years old now. Like, I don't know. I'm losing it.
Oddly enough, your mother and I were discussing this. She was his mother, my wife, watches YouTube channels about sewing because she is a sewist, and she was watching a British woman this morning, and the woman was saying something about an object she had, said that she'd had it for yonks. And it was like, yonks? Y-O-N-K-S? I have no idea what that is. And I said, yeah, there's one that's been around for at least a year, maybe 2 years. It's just Riz. And she went, what? I went, yeah, apparently that's short for charisma.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
That took me a while to learn that too, I will admit. So
it's like the first time one of my students said, yeah, just let me know the deets. And I went, the deets? And I finally realized it was details.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
You know, it's a funny thing because at time of recording this, I just released the season 15 premiere of Doctor Who, that reaction. And at one point, I just made an offhanded comment because they said there was a character that was like, "Oh, well, you're not too good at maths," and so I, being me, said, "Why you guys call it maths? It's weird." And I was like, "It doesn't matter." Of course, that entered the floodgates. That opened up the floodgates, and it's maths because it's short for mathematics. And people were like, "Why would you take out the plural and stuff?" And I just thought to myself, well, because it sounds stupid otherwise, but that's because I'm just used to math. But it is just a thing of like, but I also thought like, well, probably because we shortened it to math instead of maths to save that extra letter.
And the THS is kind of through the...
Yeah,
like
maths.
Maths.
Yeah, so it's just like, it all comes back to like when we talked about like color, like how we don't have a U in color and stuff like that. We don't have an E in judgment. Which I had to learn that the hard way. Actually, I think I used to just put an E in judgment, but you don't. At least not in American English. But it's all just to... I feel like it all just kind of goes back to probably the first newspapers that started entering the United States, where it's just like, save some room. We've only got so much paper to use, so...
Yeah, there's an old story, and I don't know if it's true or not, that the American colonists started dropping a lot of those spellings like C-O-L-O-U-R because of the Stamp Act, which basically taxed everything that was printed. And that was a way, again, to save space and ultimately save money.
Yeah.
Today, of course, is April 19th, which for our friends in the UK, please be aware that it was on this date that the British soldiers marched into Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts colony. And although, again, 250 years later, no one knows who fired the first shot, but a shot was fired. The British and the Americans opened fire on each other. The British were ultimately forced to retreat, and the Minutemen followed them and just horrendously picked them off as they were trying to go back, because the Americans would not stand and fight like the British were used to. Anyway, the shot heard round the world. This was literally the beginning of the American Revolutionary War, or as I think they call it in England, the War for American Independence. Not exactly sure how that goes. The other thing about today, April 19th, is that 30 years ago today, a right-wing militant named Timothy McVeigh, right here in Oklahoma City, filled a rented Ryder truck with 4,800 pounds of, I think they call it Amphar, ammonium nitrate and fuel oil, parked it in front of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, lit the fuse, walked away. And when the truck exploded, it ended up killing 168 people. Fortunately, I did not know any of them. I did know somebody in the building who survived. And of course, I was working downtown, so I have very unusual memories of that day. And I always say this, I don't know if we've ever said it before on here. Every year on this date after that, whenever I would leave the house to go to work, my wife always said to me, "I'm glad I'm not a widow." And then a couple of years ago, we both realized that this was 2 years before Alex was born. And so one morning she added, "I'm glad I'm not a widow, and I'm glad his brother is not an only child." So that's the stuff for today. Tomorrow is also a very big day in my life. On April 20th in the year 2009, I expired for a few minutes. I got better. But, anyway.
Tomorrow is also an important day because it's 420, which means all the weed jokes will be pervading Twitter. So, it's also Easter, but, 420. So, anyway, what we're saying is that Americans shortened things, which is why we are now dealt with Riz. Somehow we can trace the Stamp Act to what the youths are now calling the Rizzler. I can't explain that either. Other than... Okay. Obviously it's a play on the Riddler.
Yeah.
But I think it's also supposed to be a play on the Onceler. You know the Onceler from the Lorax?
Oh, I've never read the Lorax. That was after my time.
Well, the Lorax, the main character of the Lorax is the Onceler. I can't believe I have to explain this. And years ago, they did one of those animated movies of the Lorax. And they showed the Onceler's backstory of when he was young. And he was the most, Tumblr, teenage girl, perfect punk guy. And so fans of the Onceler started to be called Oncelings, I think. I'm not a historian on this. This is not what I got my degree in. And so I think that eventually led to the Rizzler. I don't know. The Rizzler is a person, technically. It's a kid. He was on Jimmy Fallon once, and I can't... It's all just memes. It's all just the most brain-dead memes you can possibly think of. None of this has anything to do with Doctor Who.
Well, of course not.
But...
it's what we do.
Yeah.
I do have a footnote to Dr. Seuss. I love Dr. Seuss growing up. Obviously, you know that because every Christmas I always read How the Grinch Stole Christmas to you and your brother. It was a tradition started by my mother when I was 7 or 8 years old. But of all the Doctor Seuss stuff that I read, one that very few people have ever heard of, and I'm kind of surprised by that, but he wrote a book called On Beyond Zebra, which was words that, or letters that should be in the alphabet beyond the 26 that we have. And if you've never read it before, check it out at the local library. It's a lot of fun. So, anyway.
Yeah, and the last thing, because we will start the episode at some point.
At some point.
The last thing is on the whole conversation about maths and stuff. When people started leaving comments with the typical, we invented the language, you just ruined it and all that stuff, figure out who's the weird one which side of the pond is weird. It's probably America. I did reply. I was like, normally I would call you a fool and I would tout American supremacy, but this is not a good time to be doing that. The past couple months have not been a good time for that. So I'm going to give you, as the kids would say, I will give you the W on this one. So...
we'll take the L.
Yeah, we will take the L on that. So, we should not be talking about youth lingo, because we are clearly not equipped to do it. So, with that said,
with all that being
we should
said,
actually watch Season 4, Episode 1. We've been talking for 15 minutes. about nothing. So let's jump into it.
What else is new?
The full length is in the description if you want to do that. So here we go.
Catherine Tate is back.
Yep.
Oops.
Dollar Noble Health and Safety.
The future starts here. And Britain will be thin.
Good morning, I represent Adipose Industry.
I don't see anything suspicious about this.
That's a 3-week course of pills for the special price of £45.
So about £2 a day. Really, at that point, even probably only about $5-6.
No, we don't give away pens, sorry. No, I can't make an exception, no.
I need a pen.
This for 10. Where's the printer?
Just over there by the plant.
Which plant? That plant?
Yeah, that's the one.
Lovely.
That's the printer there.
By the plant, yeah. My telephone number?
What for?
Health and safety. You be health, I'll be safety.
Ah.
Yeah.
But that contravenes paragraph 5, subsection C. Sorry.
Oh, so close.
Tell me, Roger, have you got a cat flap?
Here when I bought the house, I never bothered with it really. I'm not a cat person.
Oh, I've met cat people.
Yeah.
Nothing like them.
Is that what it is though? Cats getting inside the house?
Well, the thing about cat flaps is they don't just let things in, they let things out as well.
Like what?
Why don't you lock the flap?
Fat.
Tell you what, maybe you could lay off the pills for a week or so. Oh,
But yeah, you're already pretty thin.
Yeah.
Okay.
The adipose has been witnessed.
I hate it. Yeah. I mean, I'd be screaming. Ew.
Bye.
Oh, now you're in trouble. I hate them so much.
I think parthenogenesis literally means like asexual reproduction.
Oh, come on.
How long did that job with health and safety last? 2 days. And then you walk out. I have other plans. Well, I've not seen them. And there's no good sitting there dreaming. No one's going to come along with a magic wand and make your life all better.
I suppose you've seen a little blue box.
is that slang for something? You've had a funny old time a bit lately. I was poor old, what's his name, Lance, bless him.
Yeah.
That balmy old Christmas. I wish you'd tell us what really happened.
I know.
Spiders.
It's just,
A lot of spiders.
I'm waiting.
What for?
The right man.
Oh, same old story, I'm bad.
I don't mean like that.
Do you know, I remember when you was about 6 years old, your mother said, no holiday this year, so off you trottled all on your own and you got on a bus to Strathclyde. We had the police out and everything. Where's she gone then? Where's that girl, eh?
You're right. Because he's still out there.
I walked away from home when I was about 5 or 6, walked literally to the next town in France.
Even if I have to wait 100 years.
My mother eventually got one of those dog harnesses and roped me to the front door to keep me from doing it again.
See to your buyer for digital stitch specifically for...
Oh. No one to talk to. Oh, and again.
Why doesn't the alarm go off? It's a fire exit only.
Oof. 9 hours later.
See you tomorrow.
9 hours, and he has a time machine. I hope he at least had a DS and was playing some video games for that time.
What are you doing in church? Praying. Oh, a bit late for that, madam.
What's she in church for?
Hush you, go up the hill.
I need the car.
That's what you're going to be in 10 years.
Wednesday girl. Apparently she's been on those Adipose.
I'd be interested to know how old he was in that.
Probably younger than you are now.
Yes.
Well, if my math is correct, he was 79.
Just 6 years older than I am.
Yeah. So in 6 years, I'll send you up the hill with a gun and a telescope.
You've got no right to do this. Let me go.
By that point, we should be caught up to Doctor Who.
An adipose. Made out of living fat. I don't understand. From ordinary human beings.
Oh. I was kind of hoping they'd have subtitles for this. Alright, I think I'm following this.
We're interrupting you.
Let's get out of here.
Get up.
So I looked everywhere. You name it. UFOs, sightings, crop circles, sea monsters. I found them all. Oh, that's all about the bees disappearing. I thought, oh, he's connected. The thing is, Doctor,
There's just some
I believe
bees.
it all now. You opened my eyes. All those amazing things out there, I believe them all. Well, apart from that replica of the Titanic flying over Buckingham Palace on Christmas Day. I mean, that's got to be a hoax.
What do you mean the bees are disappearing?
I don't know.
No, because I got the controls of the sonic cage. I'm the only one who can control it. Not unless she's got a sonic device of her own, which is very unlikely.
Oops. Oh no. Oh no, a villain with good tech.
Smash it then!
You need a little bit more force.
Hold on! I am! What the hell is going on? This is all your fault! I should have stayed at home! I won't be a minute!
Ugh.
I've been employed by the Adiposian First Family to foster a new generation after their breeding planet was lost.
What do you mean lost? How'd you lose a planet?
Oh, politics are none of my concern. I'm just here to take care of the children on behalf of the parents.
What, like an out-of-space super nanny?
Oh, in a crisis, the Adipose can convert bone and hair and internal organs.
Eugh.
Seeding a level 5 planet is against galactic law.
Are you threatening me?
Master Jedi.
Cellular ossification.
Tyro.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Should have left.
Still on your own?
Yep. Well, no. I had this friend Martha, she was called Martha Jones, she was brilliant. And I destroyed half her life.
It happens.
But she's fine, she's good.
Must have been mad turning down that offer.
What offer?
To come with you.
You're coming with me.
Oh, yes, please.
Right.
Yeah.
That from just one little pill. And I've been eating like normal.
Oops. Yeah. I hate it so much.
Hello. Bye-bye.
Oh my god, I kick it so much. Oh! God, it's terrifying.
I need a second cat to push the override, but I've only got the one. I can't save them.
Like this one? Alright, you're in.
It stopped.
Oh. Thank God. Boy, gym memberships are gonna go way up after this. Oh, jeez. It's like Independence Day. Ugh. Oh.
That's straight out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Children!
Evita, don't cry for me.
What are you going to do then? Blow 'em up?
They're just children. They can't know where they came from.
Oh, well, that makes a change from last time.
Meh.
That Martha must have done you good.
She fancied me.
Mad Martha, that one. Blind Martha. Charity Martha.
I'm waving up fat.
Hey, she has a diet plan. It still works.
Mum and Dad have got the kids now. They don't need the nanny anymore.
Eek. All she was missing was a sign. Crap.
That was straight out of the 1950s cartoons.
You're just mad. Do you hear me? Mad. And I'm going to report you for madness.
You could so easily get out of that.
I'm not ready for this. I packed ages ago just in case. Because I thought hot weather, cold weather, no weather. It goes anywhere. I've got to be prepared.
Oh my god.
You've got a hat box.
Party of the hats. I'm ready.
I just want a mate.
You just want to mate.
I just want a mate.
You're not mating with me, sunshine.
A mate. I want a mate.
Well, just as well, because I'm not having any of that nonsense. I mean, you're just a long streak of alien nothing.
There we are then.
I can come.
That. Of course you can, yeah. I'd love it.
Just be aware of what you're getting into.
Corky!
What?
I've still got my own corky. I'll be a minute.
In the meantime, you can take all the stuff in.
Tell her that been there. All right, it all makes sense. That been there.
What?
Got it. I'll make sure to tell her.
How is that possible? Oh.
This seems perfectly fine to me. Shame she won't be able to tell her, but, you know, this perfectly normal girl there.
Here it is. And that's it. That's it. Yeah! That's it. Go on, Gil. Go on, get up there. Hey, stop there.
Alrighty. Next time. Alright.
Okay.
That's the beginning of season 4.
What the heck was Rose doing there? I'm sure that will all be revealed later in the season, but...
I don't know what you're talking about. It's just a normal blonde woman there. I don't know what you mean.
Uh-huh.
That is the most, like, overt... There's going to be a big thing this season. We'll get back to it later. I completely forgot about that until, like, 5 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, Rose shows up. And I was like, I guess that is sort of our mystery going into this season.
Okay.
So we'll get back to that. But yeah, why would she be there? And why didn't she at least stick around 5 minutes so that Donna's mom could get her car keys back? Oh, well.
Because I assumed she was talking to one of the police women there. But because I thought there were other people around her, but apparently there weren't, so I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, very interesting. All right, so.
He just walks away.
Here's no. Forget that for the moment.
Okay.
Here's the pitch meeting. Russell T. Davies says, I have this idea where there won't be a villain per se, because the creatures are going to be these little hairless Furbies made of fat tissue, and there will be millions of them who don't do any harm. They're just, lovable little, waving creatures. But their super nanny is the villain. And the other people at BBC start, shuffling through their papers and going, Russell, you may have been, having a nip or two too many, or perhaps, the ganja this week had a little something extra in it. Because how does a person, a writer, even of a science fiction that's been on for, 50 some odd years, how do you come up with a planet of beings made up of adipose tissue? I mean, it's just, I mean, sure, spiders, I get it. Lobsters, crabs, the mackerel, anything. The sea devils, the demons, the whole works. But who sits around and thinks, what we really need? We need creatures made out of fat people.
It's a very strange.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
But seriously, that is one of the most demented things I think we've ever watched.
The funny thing is, when I first watched this, I don't like the adipose. Now, that's okay. I don't think I'm really supposed to, but I was told I am apparently the only person in the Doctor Who fandom that does not find them cute. I find them to be horrifying.
Now, I remember sometime either you or your brother had when you were much, much younger, you had a little character doll that was kind of rectangular like that. And it was from one of your video games. But I don't remember what it was. Little gray, triangular creature. You probably still have it somewhere, I would bet.
I don't know.
But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I called them hairless Furbies because that was the first thing that came to mind. 2000, what are we now, 2006?
2008.
8. All right, so you would have been about 10, 11 years old. But yeah, that is very weird. There's no getting around that was just not particularly scary, but seriously, what I would love to know what inspired him to create 1 million little creatures made from human fat.
And there's a part of me that thinks, because it's also slightly cynical, because it's based on the obesity levels of the population of Great Britain, which, thank goodness they didn't try to do this in America.
I was going to say, the American obesity rate is probably much higher, and was even back then.
Yeah.
Than it would have been in Great Britain. But of course, it's filmed in Great Britain. So.
Yeah. I will say, if this had been a Torchwood episode, this would have gotten much more cynical with the fact that it's made from fat people, basically. It would have been really crazy if that was the case. But probably also, I would imagine if this was on Torchwood, if you if you like shot or like the one the taxi that like ran over them, I'm sure they would just explode into red puddles. You can't really show that on Doctor Who, but
and somebody in the comments, since we're not on the metric system here, please tell us the comparison rate between a pound and a kilogram. Now I know about stones, because he said I felt like I'd lost a stone over the last week, or, 2 weeks, and that, I mean, sure. But I don't know how much a kilogram is compared to a regular.
Yeah, well, and because the first person said pounds, didn't they? And then the guy said kilos. So I don't know. It is the one thing I've learned about the UK is that for some reason they keep like mixing up all their measuring systems. Like they have kilometers, but they also do miles as well.
I think somebody explained that in one of the comments we did. Because we were talking, I think I was talking about the British changeover from the pound, which used to be 20 shillings, and anyway, and they said not everybody's on the metric system. Again, I know that most of Europe is kilometers rather than miles.
Yeah,
and on the cars that we drive, I don't know if you've really ever looked at the not the digital speedometer, but the regular one. We have the larger miles, but underneath that, it has the kilometers.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense too because we also have Canada.
Yeah,
and because Canada, Canada they have to have two different languages. I remember I saw someone say when Justin Trudeau resigned, they were like, the funniest thing about this is that he's going to have to give his entire resignation speech, and then he's going to have to say it again in French. So they have miles and kilometers. I think they favor kilometers more than miles, but it makes sense that even on American cars, even if most Americans are probably just going to stay in America the whole time, you at least have that. So if you do drive up to Canada, you're entirely prepared.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think of the return of Donna?
Well, I will say this. She actually doesn't do all that much in this episode, but based on what we saw previously, and I think I said this before, I think the reason that I like her is because other than the first Romana, she's really the first companion who stands up to the Doctor, who looks at him and says, "You're an idiot. You're crazy. This is wrong." So
you get like hints of that with. I would even say like Jamie and Leela. You can kind of get hints of that, but you're right. The original Romana was definitely more like that, and that's true. That it's looking back now, it's like that does sort of make for a better companion, someone who is a good foil to the Doctor, and will call him out on stuff. And with Martha, you could kind of get a hint of that. Rose, you never really got that at all, and it definitely makes for. I think a lot of people would also agree that Donna is one of the best companions on the show, and really makes this season. So, in fact, recently we just got a new companion in the newest season of Doctor Who, and that's kind of all she does is she's kind of looking around at the Doctor like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know if I can do this, but circumstances happen. They have to go on an adventure together and stuff. But everyone has at least agreed that it's like they really like that for this new companion. That it's like, yes, have a foil for the Doctor, because this dude is crazy. He does all these crazy things, and he's larger than life, and it's good to have someone who could just drag that back down every so often.
Yeah. Now, again, I don't want to say I didn't like the whole drama with her mother, but I understand that's one of the reasons why she decides she's got to go, because she's tired of arguing with her. Is that her mother, her grandmother?
Her mother.
But then she's got the great relationship with her grandfather. So it's the whole family thing, which kind of started with Rose. I don't think any of the companions in Classic Who did that had a problem with their families.
No.
Tegan had her aunt who
died immediately.
Died almost immediately.
Yeah, the master killed her. So,
No, because I'm trying to go with, going all the way back to the beginning. No one had any real. They weren't on Earth long enough to have any real family problems. So
Yeah.
I like the idea that she's kind of unencumbered. And again, and I realize that there's probably somewhere down the line going to be some kind of romantic feelings from her, because that's what happens. These companions, whether it's Rose or Martha, or have feelings for the Doctor. But and again, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of 11 through 15 to know anything that happens after that. But it seems to be a pattern, and she's just going, nope. You and me, we're mates, we're friends, but that's not going to happen. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's also another positive with Donna is she wants to be with the Doctor. She wants to be, a companion, but she's not in love with him like Rose and like Martha. And that because that's kind of the thing is that, this is our third companion of the modern era. And so you can start to see, like, okay, I'm starting to see, you're starting to see the similarities here. Martha stood out and stood apart from Rose very well, but there are a lot of similarities between Martha and Rose.
Yeah.
Donna now stands apart from both of them, and that really works. But then you get to the families, and that does kind of become a little bit of an issue, because you look at Jackie, who was kind of against the Doctor. And then you look at Martha's mother, who was against the Doctor. Now we have Sylvia, who's not... she didn't even know about the Doctor at all. But what she is against is just Donna, just Donna being unemployed. And fair enough, but it's just like, okay, here we go again. We've got another nagging mother, but...
Now, this is also something unusual, and I'm sure I'm probably wrong on this. Donna seems much older than Martha and Rose. Now, Rose was a teenager. Martha had to be in her at least mid-20s because she was studying to be a doctor. But Donna seems to be, although she's probably the same age as David Tennant, she seems to be older. And I don't know, again, going back, can't remember a companion who was older than the Doctor, because we had none of them would have been older than Hartnell and Troughton or Pertwee.
No, I don't think we've had one at all, because like the youngest was Davison, and at the time when he became the Doctor, he was 30 years old, I think. But he had Turlough, he had Tegan and Nyssa and Adric, so we've never really had a companion in that sort of, well, I mean, even just that sort of mature age range since Ian and Barbara, basically.
But even they were much younger than Hartnell.
Yeah, like compared to the Doctor they were with, yeah. So
I think that's another interesting dynamic is, here's a woman who's at least the same age, who has a little bit more experience, who can look at him and goes, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. How have you lived 900 years and you're still an idiot?
Yeah, and it's so funny watching this while watching the current season of Doctor Who, because it's kind of like we're doing it again. Like, we've had the starry-eyed young women, and they're fine and good, but now let's have someone who's a little older, who's got some stars in their eyes, but not enough to where they can't see that he's crazy and can call him out every so often. Which is kind of like Donna. It's like, Donna does have stars in her eyes. She does want to go off to the great universe and stuff, but if he's being an idiot, she will say that. So it is something. It is different.
And I think I pointed out in the first episode with her that didn't she slap him twice during that episode? Because sometimes that's what people, you just got to go, hey, look at what you're doing. Snap out of it.
Yeah. So, and this definitely works because a lot of people were glad with this episode because, with Donna coming back, it's like, okay, well, Donna's coming back. That can be interesting. But with that first episode that she had, she was yelling all the time and complaining because she didn't know anything that was going on. And here it's like, okay, And that's not really a big issue here because she knows who the Doctor is, she knows the trouble she's getting into, and she's more ready for it. Yeah. So I think everyone after this episode was like, okay, this is good. We can work with Donna. So, and yeah, and all the stuff of going around. It's a very standard season opener of something weird is happening on Earth, and the Doctor gets a new companion. So it just happens to be Fat that walks away. So,
and again, the pitch meeting with Martha's introduction, when they say, all right, here's the pitch. We have a platoon of Jadoon on the moon. And you just want to go,
yeah.
Why? How do you come up with this crap?
It's like, well, there's going to be an alien police force that comes in to find the evil aliens. Like, okay. And I want them to be rhinos. Why? Because it's cool. Because this show is a success, and I am allowed to get away with these things now. I'm pretty sure that's like what we're going to be experiencing for the rest of this show. Is this show is a success, therefore these showrunners can do whatever they want, and the fandom will agree, for better or for worse. So, they do sell like plushes of the Adipose that you can get. I've seen some people have those. I don't want it. I've never wanted it. Again, I am apparently the only person that doesn't find them cute. I mean, they're okay, like, at the end when they're just, being brought up in the tractor beam or whatever. But, like, it's horrifying. It's horrifying watching them just out of a stomach and everything, or the lady that just melts into, like, 50 of them. It's just... Ugh. Also, I just feel like when she like picks one up and like sets it on the desk, like I just feel like they'd be like weird and like slimy, like the greasy. I mean, they're fat. They're made of fat. Like you're gonna have to really work to get that stuff off your hands. So it's just, I don't like them. I've never liked the Adipose, but I am apparently the only person. I feel like there's a couple more of those where there's like one or two more episodes where it's just like where at least a chunk of the fandom is like, wow, this thing is really, really cute. And I'm the one over here that's like, I don't like this. I don't like this. This is disturbing. I don't want this anymore, please. So, there's at least one or two. There's one I'm definitely thinking of off the top of my head. It was a very recent episode, and the comments know that. Know which episode that I'm talking about. It's just, ugh, I don't like these things. I guess that's pretty much it. Yep. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then that's basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our Doctor Who modern reactions, as well as another playlist with every Doctor Who reaction that's on the channel. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.